Feeling, but both of us are feeling a bit sad today because last night, our friends from Amsterdam, the people we stayed with, just like a month ago, um, one of them got very upset with me, uh, out of the blue, just completely, really upset with me, saying I don't feel a connection with you anymore. Good luck in your life. I wish you all the like speaking to us as if we'll never see them again, and that we next time we come to Amsterdam, you probably should stay somewhere else. And it's just completely shocking. Like I have no idea what I did, and it's similar to, uh, it's that they shipped me a little package of electronic things that they bought me, and I've never received the package. Don't know where it is, and they got very upset with me for not communicating with them about if I got the package or not. And this is very similar to a friend in the Bay Area tried to do the same thing, where they tried to ship me a little stuffed animal that I lost when we were in Amsterdam. It never arrived. I couldn't find it in the mail. We ended up leaving for Budapest before it even arrived, and then I couldn't find it in order for my friends in Amsterdam to get it for me. And this person got upset in the same way, with me, and so I feel disconnected from a few friends all of a sudden, and I don't necessarily know what I did. It's really hard to be traveling and feel like friends are just dropping off like flies for no reason. I hope that there's a reconciliation that happens, but it's very sad. It's very sad. What's happening?
I would like you to say thank you, and we love you. Thoth loves you, and is grateful for the sacrifice you made to have us be able to stay in our home. Blessings.
So I wanted to share something that has been happening. That is a pretty personal thing that's been happening in my life lately that is affecting me, and that I do want to talk about. I don't know if anybody could relate to this, but over the last year I've been traveling and going new places every month, right? And but I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends, a lot of people who I believed would always be in my life. A lot of people who I thought would be continuously in my life for the rest of my life. People who I relied on for very close friendship and connection and understanding and compassion within the context of my life. People who understood me, who I felt understood me, who were people that I've been through a lot with. People who I've known for as long as I've known Thoth, I'd say. And those people have dropped out of my life in the last year, like since January. And the first individual was James, my friend James, who is British, lives in New York, is an actor. I shared a video of me being very vulnerably crying about it and being very ripped up about it back in February when we were in Cozumel. I don't know how many watched that in its entirety, but I didn't share the details of it, and I still won't do that, but it was shocking, and it was very painful for me at the time. And that was about, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. It was over 6 months ago, and I've definitely come to an understanding about it, and come to accepting it the way it is, and being able to live and be okay with it. But at the time, it was devastating. It was completely devastating. It was something that I thought would never happen, and it did. And it's I know that people, for me, it was the first time anyone had done that to me, and being 35 years old, it was quite surprising to have somebody. I mean, I've lost people, but it was in the past. It was more that I chose to not be friends with them anymore because of things that they did, or just things happened that it just was like, this isn't working, and that I didn't want to be in their life anymore. And so there have been plenty of people like that over my life that we've drifted away from, or we had conflicts and don't interact with anymore, and people who we were very close to. But I think James was the very first individual who blocked me from his life completely, and made it extremely clear, in the kindest way possible, but made it extremely clear to me that he will not be in my life anymore, and there is no way for me to communicate with him anymore. He made it clear that, no email I write will be responded to. No, if I tried to speak to him in a public space, or tried to see him, he would turn around and walk the opposite direction. It was, so very clearly a cutting off communication, and it ripped me up for a long time, and I think I couldn't talk about it for a long time because it was so tender and so vulnerable, and it still is, because it's hard to, this is a person I still dream about. He's been somebody in my life that I still love and have always respected as an artist, and someone I always thought would be in my life. So that was extremely painful, and that was happening when we were in Mexico. So that happened, and it all was just a strange falling out of, difficult, just complicated, one-sided relationship kind of thing. It was just not working. So, and then before that, I'd say that there's another friend of mine named Shannon who I was really, really, really close to. She was San Francisco based, and the last time we saw her was about 7, 8, maybe a year ago. Back in November, when we went to San Francisco again after we'd been in Mexico for a few months. We went back to San Francisco in November to do some gigs for a month, and she came and picked us up at the airport. And she's a very spiritual individual, very mystical individual, and we'd really gotten very close over a year or so of being in the Bay Area during the pandemic. And that was the last time we saw her. There was no communication since, and she was someone I expressed deep things to, and felt safe with, felt like I could trust this individual. She was like a soul sister kind of feeling, and she's no longer in my life. And there wasn't a cutoff of contact. There is no communication at all. So I'll never know what happened. I'll never know what, so that was difficult. That was like a slow thing over the last year of like really realizing she's no longer in my life. And that's painful and sad for me. Recently I had a conflict with my fairy godmother, Ariel, who she tried to send me a Mimi when I'd lost Mimi when we were traveling from southern France to Amsterdam to visit our friends, Wim and Maya. And she tried to send me another Mimi, my dear little stuffed animal. It's so heartbreaking. I lost her too. And, you definitely lose things when you travel. That's part of it that's very difficult. But that was really, it was painful to lose Mimi. And it was also, unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me to actually get the package that Ariel had tried to send me. It never arrived. We left before the package arrived, and then I couldn't find it in order for my friends to get it for me and mail it to me. And Ariel got upset with me for feeling like I was being too demanding, and that was quite harsh with me about telling me I won't have any friends if I am so demanding towards people. So that hurt a lot. And she's a very she's forgiving, and so she is still in my life, but I definitely feel a disconnect because of that. And then just last night I had a strange interaction with my friend Wim from Amsterdam, who he was also, him and Maya were trying to send me a package and to Bucharest, and it never arrived. Same kind of thing, it never arrived, and so I was not able to receive it. I don't know where it is, I don't know how to get it. And he got very upset with me, just out of the blue, just wrote me all these messages that I came home to last night saying, I feel like we don't have a deep connection anymore. I wish you all the best with your future travels, but probably when you come to Amsterdam in the future, you have to find somewhere else to stay. And I'm just asking, like, what did I do? How did I offend you so much that you would push me away to this extent? And there is no explanation. So this feels very vulnerable to talk about, but I am a very open, honest individual. That's the way I am. So these 4 people, James, Shannon, Ariel, and Wim, these are people who I have felt incredibly close to, have shared immensely vulnerable things with them, felt like they would always be my dearest friends. Shannon I met in the last few years during the pandemic. James I've known since I was 19. Ariel I've known for at least 5 years or so. And Wim I've known for probably 15 years. He's one of our oldest friends as a couple. We met him in Amsterdam when we did a performance, and we played in a space where he had a showing of his artwork. It was a magical interaction that we had. So that is something that has been happening to me, and despite the fact that I'm living such a blessed life in which I get to travel and I can take care of us and pay for things we need, it feels like friends are just dropping out like flies. It feels like people that I've really, loved very deeply have just disappeared from my life. And it makes me really grateful for the people that have stayed, that are still my friends. And I still have people. I just spoke to my friend Kira last night about everything, and she's so kind and compassionate. She's in the Bay Area, and I've known her for at least 5 or 6 years now. She danced with us in Golden Gate Park in the tunnel during the pandemic, and has just been a really good girlfriend for me, understanding and kind. And it's I don't know how I'd feel right now if I was alone dealing with, like, if Thoth wasn't with me and I was dealing with that, with friends just dropping away or getting really upset with me out of nowhere. Because I do feel disconnected from people because of the way that we're living, that I feel, the time difference is huge now between me and a lot of people in the Bay Area or in New York or Nashville or wherever in the United States. And the further away we go from the United States, the bigger the time difference will be. to the point that I really won't be able to reach anybody anymore. And that's the sacrifice I've had to make for the lifestyle that I'm living. And I don't think I'd be, it's a painful thing to realize that I've had to sacrifice friendships in order to live my life the way I'm living it. And I'd say that probably something that's happened for me in the last year is that I've become much more independent and sovereign and self-empowered, and so I'm much less tolerant of people's bullshit. It's much easier for me to see through people's motives and see that everybody's human and everybody has flaws and nobody's perfect, and nobody has the answer to my problems, and I'm not perfect either. So I'm just much less tolerant of silly behavior, of people taking things personally or getting offended. I'm just much more independent, and I'm much more aware now that if somebody leaves my life, that's how it's meant to be. That if somebody's going to be in my life, that they will be, and if they're not, then they won't. And has very little to do with me. But it's painful and it's difficult. So that's just been something I've been having to face, and I accept it. Because I don't live in one place. I don't think I ever will. It's very hard for me to imagine that I will be living in one place in the world for the rest of my life. That is really the way that you build community. We built a whole community when we were in the Bay Area during the pandemic, and it all broke apart because we left. And it's a choice that I made, and I wouldn't have chosen differently if I had been told in a future sense that by making this choice you will lose some very close friends. I don't know how I would have felt about that. But it's also true that a lot of these people that I was friends with very deeply during the pandemic. Like, I would speak to James once a week for hours. We'd talk for hours and hours every week. Shannon also, I'd see her all the time. Ariel, we'd hang out all the time, go visit her and have these very deep communal conversations that I would film. And then Women Maya we hadn't seen for years. We hadn't seen for like 5.5 years because of the pandemic and all of that. We were in the United States, so seeing them again was just so magical. And being in their house was just like blissful and amazing. And to know that we very well may never go back there again, we may never see them again, it's quite shocking to realize. Because even if you go back through the vlogs over the years, you'll see that we've stayed in their house every time we've been to Amsterdam for many years. So it's like I'm choking up while I'm talking about this, because it's very hard to that's kind of the sacrifice I've had to make for living this wonderful life, is that kind of losing friends and accepting that that's the way it is. Yeah.
Is Kirsten, what's her name again? Larissa?
I don't know.
She hasn't spoken about it. I heard her name mentioned just.
I don't think they've seen each other in a while because probably she may have gotten pissed at her for not agreeing to do that gig.
What? I don't know this.
She had to ask her, you know, she was offering very little money. It was the same kind of thing. She wasn't offering very much money to do a gig that Kira didn't really want to do, and she had to back out and say that she wasn't going to do it.
Yes, everybody's doing this thing.
Yeah, she's really dealing with this a lot
Why?
because people want to use her.
It's that thing when you're a talent or a thing when people want to use you and then they don't want to help.
Yeah.
They just want to use you. So you bring them light or something.
la era no boe ana la ne edu mozalla we una paun mo no la elhanegi, Beleluna baueranegi, Heidin nuolena. la sala de ti, hele la duna la duna sala de ti, kumbo sala la ti, duna sala de ti, la duna. Te Gottfallet, Gomboranni, Bahaigale, Heria, se talo tuomba, di che cara tuomba. Bombole sale di Bombola haule Bomba tumba tale Bomba tumba hale Bomba tumba hale Helle nale tale Tanna bunna vele hale
What's that like for the loaf?
I'm perked up a little bit though because I opened up. There's no heaven. It's just really just getting my opening myself up a bit.